General rule, it doesn't do a whole lot. It just, like he said, it's not so much this anymore as it is just smooth and things like that. That's pretty good. This is a good example though. So this is the turf that's been killed out, but has not been stripped up just yet. You can see drainage lines have been added. If you kind of look closely there, they still need to get packed down. And then once it gets stripped, it kind of gets down to this material right here. So we've got, it's sand on top, but this is that organic that I was talking about. So this is all the decayed, like root systems and things like that of the bent grass. And so we're coming in and really trying to till that over, work it in. We want as homogeneous of a mix as possible before we put the sod down.
And that's 4 inches thick, you said?
About 4 inches, yeah, give or take. And that's really credit to Roger. I mean, they started that back in 2011, top dressing fairways. So think about that. Over the last 10 years, you went from clay fairways to having about a 4-inch sand cap with all the top dressing. So it's pretty impressive. So yeah, so we added more drainage here. We'll see it a little bit more when we get to the holes that have grass. But so the fairway will go up and then just go into the bunker. So it'll be all zoysia grass from fairway straight into the bunker right there. The zoysia grass line stays pretty consistent with how it currently is on the backside. And then as I mentioned, imagine that intermediate coming up the right side and then going around the back of the bunker and then tying in as it goes up to the green. On this particular hole in 15, he does shift the fairway closer to Brush Run Creek. So you've only got about a real thin intermediate pass that goes from the creek wall and then it's fairway. So he kind of brings the fairway closer to the water feature there.
That really shouldn't hurt anybody's game at all.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So if you made the fairways, are they smaller then, or you keep them same size, or just straightening them?
Did you regrade this fairway like a little bit?
So we tipped this one a little bit more. That's correct, right? So we felt like it was a little bit flat. So we did add. Well, we haven't done it yet, but we will add a little bit more sand, mix that in, and so we'll get a little bit more surface drainage.
Can we appeal that decision?
Yeah, just to kick you this way.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Are you making the fairway smaller, keep them the same size, or just?
They're generally
them
the
out?
same size. They're generally the same size. From an acreage standpoint, it's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the same all the way through.
Some will change. 17 changed quite a bit.
17 gets more narrow up there, and that may be the better one. Maybe we drive 16 and look down at it. 17, we could actually look at the fairway bunkers and the green side if we want to get out and stop there. Yeah, some of them get a little bit more narrow. Some of them we shortened up because they just didn't need it. Like, for example, number 13, from the forward tee, the fairway started 15 yards in front of the tee. So we were able to kind of chop off a little bit of the front of that. I think we had the same situation on 4 was the same way. So 4, we kind of, there's a big lobe at the front of 4 that now will just be rough. It won't be there, and so it worked out pretty well. Little drainage right here on 16. Again, the approaches we really want to target. So again, you know, if a ball lands short, we really want it to kind of get away from the green a little bit and not just sort of stick up there up at the top area right there. So we think we can get a pretty good amount of run. We'll still walk mow our approaches, and then we'll pick that hard line, and then we'll use our bigger units up there. Our target height of cut's going to be 1/4 of an inch for this particular grass right here, and then we'll be around 350 for the fairways is what we're going to do. These kind of give you a decent example of sort of how the fairway will just go into the bunker. There's no rough to stop it, anything like that. And then if you remember, we were talking about those bunker edges. And so this one does not have the Better Billy bunker in it. We've laid the grass over, so we're gonna try to keep this down. We'll add the gravel, and then the sand will come up to maybe somewhere right in here where my hand is, something like that. We know we're gonna lose some of this turf, but that's okay. We just wanna go ahead and establish that. And then, so the challenge for our guys is gonna be, as we maintain this short down through here, our vertical edging, not getting into this dirt and things like that then could contaminate the sand. So we're gonna try to keep that lip all the way around. I think it's gonna be kind of a cool look, but it'll actually be a grass edge that'll be for the lip. So a ball that's moving up this way, instead of stopping, we'll just dive right in.
Awesome. John, when was
This was put down Monday and Tuesday of this week.
Monday and Tuesday?
Monday and Tuesday of this week.
It's amazing.
So, and if you think about it too, I mean, this grass, like I mentioned, it is coming from 10 hours away. It is not like it is in Lexington and coming over here. And so really pleased with the condition of the grass. You know, we're paying a pretty good premium for it, so it should be, right?
Yeah.
Right over like
This, I think, gives you a really good idea of what a new fairway line would look like. Before, the fairway edge was right on the other side of these heads, And then we had kind of an intermediate cut, and I think in this situation we actually mowed it. Actually, the intermediate came down to about here, and then we had that Myers zoysia. So now we'll have this Xeon, and it'll really roll and fill in there. And then what has not been sodded yet, this will be the HCT bluegrass that goes around this top side. And again, that's probably a little bit more aesthetics, but it was a way to encompass the entire hole to have that intermediate for either shots that are short of the bunker, shots that are just past, and maybe more importantly around the green surface itself. So that's that gives you a little bit of a feel. But yeah, so our fairway units will probably stop about this level. We've got a lower, wider base reel mower that'll come down a little bit lower, and then we'll have to do hand work as we get down to the bottom. And again, you get a pretty good idea of kind of that edge that I'm talking about. So the idea will be that our bunkers have a pretty sharp little edge to them, which is a Nicholas style design, but hopefully we'll be able to maintain it in grass versus it being a dirt situation. This bunker has Better Billy bunker in it. You can actually see a little bit of the gravel that's on the other side. So we'll take all of this sand out of here. We'll essentially kind of pressure wash the gravel, move it all down to one bottom section. We'll have to saw cut that out, take that out, add more gravel, more polymer, and then we'll come back in and do the sand. The other tricky thing with the sand, because we're doing all the grassing first, we felt like that was just important, is as we come back and do the adding of the sand, you know, it's going to be real tricky. We may have to plywood or come in at some funky angles to get to it, so we don't do any damage to the grass that we've already laid down right here. So we had to make a few concessions on irrigation heads. The irrigation system that was put in 2011 was designed for this fairway. Well, these are not necessarily that way. So, like for example, this is the head that waters, you know, before it watered just the fairway, and then this one watered just the rough. So in some situations, particularly around fairway bunkers, we didn't move them because that just would have taken a tremendous amount more time, more money. I mean, to physically repipe it and go to the backside of the bunker, things like that. So we feel pretty comfortable we'll be able to make this work, but you don't normally see two irrigation heads right next to each other in a fairway. That's kind of an odd thing.
But much easier shot than it was before, because you can spin it. If you hit it good, you can spin it. Yeah, way easier to hit it.
These will be I think this will be some of our challenges. If you see up here, see this Bermuda grass? We sprayed out, it's all white on the hillside. But see how it's already kind of alive again right there? I mean, that's going to be a challenge for us. We got to make sure we keep the Bermuda out of the zoysia grass. That's going to be an ongoing process. It wouldn't shock me in the first season if we saw some bent grass come back up through some of the seams. Just because if we're putting zoysia down and it's not actively growing and getting together, but then that bent grass is pretty resilient. I know we've killed it and stripped it up, but you still have rhizomes and stolons in there, so it wouldn't shock me. We saw a little bit of bent contamination come up through, but we'll be able to handle that.
Yeah, the difference here, John, is there's several chemical applications we can use to knock it right out.
Absolutely.
That was one of the questions we had when we were seeing stuff.
And it'll kill the bent, but not the...
It kills the bent and not the zoysia.
You can actually spray like a non-selective herbicide in the wintertime when zoysia is dormant and the bent's green. And that's a pretty common practice. We would do that at Austin quite frequently.